Tommy Robinson.
Tommy Robinson.
Tommy Robinson.
Free Tommy Robinson.
We're being replaced no longer.
You are stirring up hatred.
No.
You are abusing people's religion.
Very aggressively.
Show some respect.
Show some respect.
Show some respect.
Have you read this book?
Who exactly is Tommy Robinson?
What's your origin story? I mean, how did you get into this insane world of political commentary and activism?
I grew up in a town called Luton, 30 miles north of London.
I come down this area with my mum when I was younger. This area now is literally just a complete Muslim area.
When I was born in 1982, we had one mosque.
It's got 19 mosques all within a stone's throw.
We now have over 40. Most people in Luton are the sons of immigrants. My mother was an immigrant to Great Britain, yeah, she come from Ireland. Most people are. So if you line up all my friends, St. Lucian, Jamaican, Bulgarian, Italian, all of us are sons of immigrants. Everyone integrated and assimilated, yeah? There was one community that didn't.
There is no problem with West Indian youth. There is no problem with Sikh youth. The problem is with Islamic integration.
There was the Islamic community, majority Pakistani, 50% of the town, and they do not integrate or assimilate, and there's a hostility, and that's not every single one of them. Some of them are lovely, some of the best people I met growing up are Muslim lads, but per se there is a problem with integration, a problem with assimilation, and very quickly I found out the problem that's now known as grooming.
It's shocking. It's sexual atrocities, it's torture, some of it. You know, that in fact, you can't repeat it. You can't put it on television. You can't write it down.
We're talking about rape jihad. We're talking about groups of men taking the most sacred thing to us, which is our daughters, and not even for sexual gratification, but to totally destroy those children.
The vulnerable schoolgirls were plucked from the streets and care homes to be drugged, raped, and sold into prostitution.
And so my cousin was 13 or 14 when this happened to her, when we were growing up. And in the end, they got her hooked on heroin as a child, and she woke up once being raped by loads of them, big bearded men all raping her. She run naked through the streets. Now, when the family went to the police, this was the attitude from the police for decades. The police just said, she's a drug addict. And she was a drug addict. She's a child. So she'd end up climbing out the windows to get back to the Muslims, or her heroin to then be continually raped over and over again as a child. Now, this is something I grew up knowing. I grew up seeing young girls who were taken from their families, girls I went to school with, and it was just common. It was common, and we knew the police didn't do anything about it.
Authorities in the English city of Oxford have apologised for missing opportunities to catch a gang of men who abused young girls over an 8-year period.
So in 2004, I organised my first ever protest. I called it Ban the Luton Taliban.
Anti-terror rally. I organised this rally when I was 21 years old. I made these leaflets.
But my rhetoric has never changed. What I said in that leaflet was that whites and blacks are being religiously and racially targeted by Muslim gangs.
Clamp down on racist attacks on white and black lads by Muslim gangs.
When I made these leaflets, I also said that the Islamic community are using drugs as a weapon against our community, and they're hooking our daughters and hooking young children onto drugs so they can prostitute them to paedophiles.
Members of a Muslim gang, the Gambinos, are more interested in making money from drug pushing and pimping.
I formed a group after that called the English Defence League.
The English Defence League says their mission is to fight radical Islam.
And we travelled the country highlighting these issues, and I very quickly realised that all the things I'd seen in Luton were actually replicated in every town and city that had an Islamic community. So I realised how big the scale of this problem was. And in 2009, when we started talking about this, people said we were fearmongers, people said we were lying. I remember going on the biggest show in the UK.
Are we going to pretend that Muslim groups are not out there purposely targeting our youth and pimping them?
Jeremy Paxman was the most feared presenter for BBC. And I remember debating him or trying to get our points across.
So are you seriously suggesting there aren't white drug dealers and there aren't white gangs?
Of course I'm not, no.
Or Sikh gangs or any other kind of...
No, I'm not, but I'm saying some of these specific issues are coming from the Islamic communities.
But he looked at me like I was ridiculous. He said, you expect us to believe that groups of Muslim men are allowed to go outside schools and pick up young girls to rape them?
You're claiming that community is spreading it.
I said, yeah, that's exactly what they're doing in every town.
Only 15-year-old girls that you know that you've grown up with that have been raped or pimped, you don't. So I don't expect you to understand the issue.
And the interview has not aged well for him because everything I said has now been proven true.
Latest in a number of recent cases which have shocked the British public, in which gangs of men of mainly Pakistani Muslim heritage abuse young girls.
Every institution that should be there to protect these children failed. It wasn't It wasn't just the police who let it happen. It was social services, it was the education system, it was the police system, the religious, all of them there was a conspiracy of silence of all these organisations and institutions, and this crime was covered up for decades.